Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pagan Artist Spotlight on the Prairie Land Radio Network. And as always, I have to say thank you to my good friend Gina, who has been so kind enough to do all the intros for us here at IPN Radio. This afternoon, I am joined by my friend and author, William Hegeman. Okay, now you got me
Hegeman.
pronounced Hegeman. Thank you. uh, Otherwise known as Arkansas. And I want to thank you for taking time out to join me this afternoon. We're going to be talking about your book, which is a really good book to have. It's a good one to add to any library. This is called Magic Mind, Emotion, and Body, the Praxis. And as I was talking with William before we went online, is that this book here, he has taken all the basics and broken them down and explained everything, uh, and tossed in a few other terms that I had not heard of until I started reading about them. So when somebody had asked you to do something without all the woo, yeah, you definitely did
Yes. Yes. Outer confirmation from the world. Awesome.
it. Well, like I said, when I was reading through the book, here's like, damn, it's like, wow, he's taken all the basics, broken them down, explained everything, and this is this would be a good book to have for a beginner to up to even the skilled magic practitioners.
Yes. Uh, the idea of that was to help with the energy work and the uh, self practices for psychic hygiene, and
Hmm.
to become aware of your relationship of energy in the world around you, so that you're not imprinting your spirit, your soul, with all the information that's in spirit and everything affecting you and giving you the tools to have conscious control over it.
Yep. And the one line that I really kind of like is that so that our cultures have demonized language used regarding magic and the people who practice it, and people with a lack of identity uh, have recreated their identities, reshaping old words and abandoning perfectly good words, and for political and psychological self empowerment, uh, which is essentially true. Is that uh, we've gotten away from kind of gotten away from using the basics, and because people are have been made afraid of it. It's like there's no reason to be afraid of it.
Exactly. And I go explaining the physiological and the psychological uh, concepts that are in science, and they're in the bibliography and uh, quoted there, about how you become in control of how you hijack your mind and your body and your emotions to make them work for you.
Right.
And it goes a step by step process, having you try the exercises or giving you the ideas first, so that I'm trying to seduce people into actually doing the practices, thinking about it, and developing the critical mind along with it.
Hmm.
Yes, I've seen people in various magical practices for the past 50 years, um, getting away from the basics on developing meditation and energy work and awareness. They
Hmm.
go by ritual, they go by ceremony. Um, you can get that in any formulary book. The first section of my book says you can buy all of them, they're useful, but you have to learn how to work recipes.
Right. Exactly. And plus the fact that people seem to think they need to have uh, all basically they need to go out and spend their money on all this uh, well, basically what I call shiny stuff,
Yeah,
and
I got it. But
and I, granted, it's all good and well, but when you're not applying the basic principles, you're not accomplishing anything.
exactly, you have to have a relationship.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a grasp on uh, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. It goes back to the term of know thyself.
Yes. Yeah, I started out with Tibetan yoga, um, and I've studied different magic techniques, practices, methodologies, uh, and I started learning qigong from various authors, and I practiced it for 40 years.
Hmm.
Um, and you develop the awareness of spirit and all its flavors and how it works, and you start realizing that and reading other cultures that spirit has different names depending on its function, its purpose, how you view it, and even aspects of components of your own being and spirit. I know I've responded to one of your podcasts, giving my definitions of spirit and soul and
Hmm.
the like, because that's one thing that, like your roundtable goes, it gets confused real quick, and especially when you're mixing different backgrounds of philosophy.
Yeah, I know it can, and that was one of the reasons why we've always had um, Roderick involved in that is because that he comes in with the non-pagan perspective. Um, he's well known author and he's written a lot of stuff, but I mean he comes in with the non pagan aspect. So we always like getting his perspective on things, and
Yep,
uh, but yeah, that discussion that was one of our more interesting ones.
yep, yeah. It's when you see, that's one reason why I've studied a lot of things going back into history, especially church history, and the philosophical changes, and why they started naming everything the soul instead of everything spirit. Soul is
Hmm.
something specific. And the church has made that so that when academics view, for example, different animist traditions, the Tengris or the other shamans, they all have specific words for spirit and Egyptian, but they all call it soul. But when it gets down to it, it's the relationship with spirit,
Hmm.
um, yeah, and identifying, well, what is soul? Who are you? Know thyself, and then what's left after you leave this corporeal existence. Um, there's a lot of work in India and Asia that pretty much nails down what's left, and how you work to maintain anything. Um, and that's some of the experiences I have. It's like, how do you visit your past lives? Well, you're not carrying it with you, but you do have a timeline that you're connected to. And
Hmm.
that timeline is locked into the past. And you can go visit it, but you have to build this tool to be able to do it. And the more that you learn how to build that tool and store that information in your soul, the better you can use spirit in your body to make it all work.
Right.
It's like it's like uploading BIOS and operating system and applications onto a computer.
Hmm.
It's like you're not the computer, but the BIOS and the base operating system. That's what you're loading. So
Exactly. Now, when we're talking about back to it here. Psychic hygiene. Uh, is I don't hear a lot of people who actually talk about that. Um, so let's get into that to just kind of give everybody a more well-rounded uh, explanation on psychic hygiene and what we need to be doing.
All right. In a nutshell, um, people think about meditation as quieting everything. You can't. You have a 2-year-old that's collected every bit of information and junk. Most of it doesn't apply. It hasn't been sorted out. You try to meditate, the 2-year-old's running around the house. Look at this, look at this. Well, you have to learn how to deal with a 2-year-old. You have to teach them how to put things away. This thought, this emotion, is it yours? Yes or no? Very simple. But you have to order it, and that has to be by
Hmm.
choice. A lot of people use Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, as an ordering system. But the whole book is about using your own mind, your own creativity to choose your uh, tags, labels, boxes, so that you order your mind for yourself. And then the stuff that you don't need, let it go. And the first stop is the mind, okay, and the emotions. The meditation process is learn how to quiet the body so that you're not generating emotional or metabolism information, but your brain panics and it wants to reassert that emotions. You just got to say it's okay. So instead of trying to be quiet, you're dealing with the noise and you're ordering it and knowing yourself and letting go what's not you. And a simple stretch and grounding exercise after you've centered. And this process is all
Hmm.
centered. The second aspect is meditating with a body. Step inch by inch by inch. Feel the flow, the connection, um, and how's it connect, and how's it feel. And then you get a sticky part in your body and say, and it doesn't feel right. It's going to jog the boxes and labels and stuff that you have there, and you go through that and say, okay, I need to meditate on this issue that's trauma, memory, whatever, and you
Hmm.
work on it. And then you may have to do some a massage or yoga or whatever to loosen up that part of the body, and then let go of that energy, that astral, that spirit that is clogging your body. In some terms, it's called de-armoring,
Hmm.
um, but I don't use that because it involves a whole other tradition. So you do that, and you get through that whole process. You are now becoming aware because of feel, flow, and connection of energy that's in your body. How's it feel? And then you're able to recognize what's you versus what's not you. So you become more empathic, more aware, more energy sensitive. This is a byproduct. I'm not teaching you how to do that because that's by tradition. I'm teaching you to do it so that your body and mind are prepared to control it, to manage it. And
Hmm.
meanwhile, you're processing your own traumas, okay? Because your own, you're doing eternal alchemy because you're remembering your old emotional self, which comes to fore. You're using your meditative, quiet self as the base
Hmm.
operating system to control this exchange. And then you are reviewing how you are transferring your personality to who and what you want to be and choose the emotions and choose the actions. Is it perfect? No. I still have triggers from the past. But can I regain and get myself back to a point of uh, balance and equilibrium quickly? Yes. And all I have to do is do that one pot belly breath to do it. And um, then go through the chakras. And most people think Kundalini. You know, I like the Qigong method because you're taking that energy that you're storing from bubble breathing, which is
Hmm.
from nature, and being aware of it, and you're storing it, and then you're taking pills of it going up your back and down your front through the Ren and oh, the governing and conception vessels. Um, and they're on the outside external chakra points. And it teases out threads. And those threads uh, you can process because at the end you do the same thing. Is it me? Is it not me? But you get a thread and it doesn't fit, and and it triggers your brain and it triggers a piece of your body. You deal with
Mm-hmm.
it, and you're dealing with it at one at a time.
Right.
Gurus and other things. If you're doing chakras from, you're pushing up, and you have to deal with the whole chakra all
Right.
at once. And that's why you have gurus there to help deal with the psychological, sociological context, and even in different traditions, um, by the initiations, these things erupt. This process you're doing dealing with it one thread at a time on your own
Mm-hmm.
under your control. At the same time, you're taking that energy and mapping it to all your chakras. Your chakras are mapping to the energy so that you can do things like not just astral travel uh, and astral projection, but you can start aspecting because now you have an energetic form that you can embody outside yourself and do what I call aspecting so that you do not endanger your core astral energy in the process. Because when you do astral projection, things find you. You're tasty. You do astral travel, bringing planescapes to you.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing other things right into you. So having that level of psychic hygiene is important. And doing the projection and traveling are steps to teaching yourself. But I try to push the idea of aspecting because I've been storing energy here for the past 45 plus years, and I do not like vampires. I do not like things that feed on me without, I want honest
Mm-hmm.
exchange with the world around me. If I lose an astral body, I can recreate one, but this core, safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's the uh, that's the idea. The
Right.
Buddhists have these tanka practices that that do the same thing, but they're projected ideals.
Well, I gotta say that there's a couple things I want to mention about this, but I wanted to say welcome to Kat Gina Cole, who was on with me yesterday, and yeah, she loves the 2-year-old in your head analogy,
Yeah,
and
it's the second part when when they turn into teenagers and say, "Hey, remember that box? You filled it up. It's rattling. Deal with it. Show me that you're an adult." That's where the work gets interesting.
mm-hmm, yep,
Sorry, I
yeah.
didn't have the full analogy there, and I feel
Oh,
humbled following Kat here because she's got a intro book and everything like that. Sounds
yep.
wonderful.
Oh yeah, I had fun talking with her yesterday. That was it was a good talk. Now, I will say that I have one experience where I actually did astral travel. I know for a fact I did because I found myself back at uh, mom and dad's back when uh, back when I was a kid, and uh, and I was actually down in the basement, right where I normally would hang out at, and I could hear everything around me going on, and it's like I actually scared myself. It's like, wait a second, I don't think I'm supposed to be here, and I literally had to force myself to come back.
Yeah, that's the thing with the lucid dreaming aspects about how to learn to control your emotions. I realize that a lot of your plane walking, lucid dreaming, it's thinking with your right brain, which is emotional and um, deals with metabolism and 5D energy constructs. We don't realize how big our brain is when we do that. And when we realize that walking in spirit, the best way we understand it is by feeling. And we develop this very large, complex internal language by feelings and internal landscapes.
Hmm.
So, learning not to fear, because once you change your emotion, you'll skip to another plane, and it's uh, charging your emotion is a great way to pop yourself back. But
Hmm.
sometimes you're in a afterlife plane that has residuals and memories and people in it, and sometimes they're replaying the past. So, yeah, very likely that. Once you have an energetic memory, which you did, you're
Hmm.
able to transfer to a plane or and a memory that reflects that. That's uh, teaching you, learning how to remember things by emotions. You can travel back in time and remember anything. It's a great technique that I bother people to no end because I'll remember things way past their memories. So
Hmm. Yeah, that definitely was a um, it was a first time experience for me doing that, and I think that's what really kind of freaked me out because that was the very first time that happened, uh, and it's like I don't know if there was something that I was supposed to learn from that or what, but um, I
it's normal. It's but the thing is when you experience an energetic state that is not your baseline, okay,
mhm,
and you're feeling it, your memories and your faculties, your adult faculties, which are part of your ego, are not checking with the emotional state of mind of that memory. So y- the whole thing about ego is people get comfortable with a pattern of their emotions, their metabolism, their physicality, and there's a study on state dependent behavior. They use that to talk about why addicts have a hard time breaking free of it because
mhm,
they function in an altered state that is a chemical crutch.
right,
People with egos have the same emotional attachment and egos that generate a baseline how they function best. And as soon as you're emotionally changed, it's uncomfortable. It generates fear for one.
mhm,
So, and that changes your metabolism. You pop out. So it's a nice safeguard, but that's normal for first astral projection experiences. Um, the trick is, and try to explain in the book, is how to develop that emotional mind
mhm,
so that you can tweak your ego to accept and be able to apply your memories and your faculties into an ever broadening tool that
okay,
that can accept and think and function at that level. So it's a practice to expand your magical mind.
okay, gotcha. And now, so there is a significant difference between astral projection versus traveling.
Yes, yeah, you can travel. Generally, astral projection people choose different external chakra points to go out of. Some do it by the whole body, and there's this vibration thing that, but you're having to loosen up core astral spirit to do so. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have to have some sort of framework to keep it ordered. Okay. There's a technique in Tibetan yoga. You create uh, a crystal spirit simulacrum of some sort, and you put it at your external projection point. Mine was a third eye, and it gives kind of a form and function and ability to relate back to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in the same process, you are spending and pushing energy out of you, astral chi spirit that's now vulnerable. When you're doing astral travel, um, you're actually remembering places and things, and you're generating the energetic environment. You bring it to you. It's a magical thing when you do
Mm-hmm.
um, your guard towers, your four quarters, evoking the elements.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're doing it from your relationship to, earth, wind, fire, and water, and how you project it. Okay, so you're actually creating that space. So that's an astral travel. It's an abstract. Okay, one that's under your control and your conscious control. Because if you're doing a circle for one, you're doing a circle. You're projecting four different places, plus yourself, plus God, goddess, what have
Mm-hmm.
you. So you are creating what, six, seven personalities,
Right.
or attentions.
Right.
They all have to memorize and hold space for that. So when you do astral travel, you are developing a close, intimate interaction with space and and time, and but you can bring things to you, and anything that's in that space you have to
Mm-hmm.
deal with too. So you have to practice your protections, your shields, even then.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, because that's one thing that I try explaining to beginners is one thing that they need to learn is how to visualize and create a shield around them to protect themselves. Because if they, well, I've learned the hard way. If I don't shield myself, I wind up taking on the energy, I wind up taking on the emotions, and basically it just causes a whiplash effect, or basically it'll bring on severe migraines for me. So I've learned the hard way that if you don't shield, if yeah, you're opening yourself up to a lot of different things that it's going to overload your system.
yes, I try to teach that in there. You got to project that energy there. You got to have it, give it some intelligence. The thing is, you're spending energy in that,
Hmm.
so you're constantly have to be aware of what you're taking in, because being an empath, your bubble's like so big, but you walk into an energetic stuff that you feed off of, and now you're projecting the same agita. Now you're drawing it to you.
Hmm.
So it's developing this ongoing awareness so that you're not drawing it to yourself as well. Yeah,
That's
it's the more you do, the more you have to practice, the more and better and aware shields you have to
right.
have. I got shields. I've had people think that I'm dark and evil because I cloak. You know, I put a dark environment. People don't see it. They're gonna get readers like you're evil, and I'm like, no. Someone was well aware. No, he's hiding. And it's like, but you develop more skills. You could see beyond those shields. You can penetrate those shields because you can generate an energetic context to get behind shields. Then you're dealing with people who are powerful enough to that you need to learn other techniques to prevent them come. I mean, it's one thing doing yang type of projected energy. Okay, isn't
Hmm.
spirit isn't quite involved. It's using to manipulate spirit. But when you can project and coalesce spirit, and you can project it and manipulate it outside of yourself, you you can step beyond shields. The thing is having something aware of the flow, the consciousness of it, and be able to project uh, changes within yourself to counteract it. It's almost like a martial arts concept, dealing
Hmm.
dealing with it. And then you
Right.
start learning to tie in shields with natural elements so that nature's feeding it for you. You're just fluffing, preening, and being aware of it so that you're not wasting your energy every single moment for every single bit of awareness. Because
Hmm.
you get to a level, and like intimated, things are going to be attracted to you.
That's
Okay,
true.
the more bright you are, the more refined you are. You start creating a wake of effects. The more, and I've had to learn how to bring my spirit in, especially public, because when I'm really intense, if I'm out 30 feet, guess what? That energetic presence, people are afraid. They can't think because their emotions are upset. They can't remember. They can't function, and they're terrified or afraid or simply can't function.
Hmm.
And having something written and handing it to somebody and then writing it down for them, and they couldn't function. I was I remember one day I was just so torqued up, had to try to get something done. A simple set of IP addresses. Okay, I had it written down 3 times, explained it twice, wrote it down in front of them. They couldn't function, and I realized I had to back off. I had to withdraw myself, and it was a particular stage in my set of practices, and I realized I got to change this up because I need to function in the real world.
Hmm.
It's a great practice if I was trying to imbue people with compassion or whatever, but I'm not. I don't practice that type of Buddhism, so it's like
Yep. Gotcha. All
I,
right.
I
We're going to take a quick commercial break, hear from our sponsors, and there's a couple more terms that we're going to be getting into that I have not heard before that I'm kind of wanting to learn about these. So we're going to be right back right after these messages. So don't go nowhere. We're going to be right back.
I just walked into this coffee shop. You'll never guess what I found. All the help is deeply engrossed in metaphysical times. You should too. I'm at the Egyptian, 475 Park Avenue in Idaho Falls, Idaho. You get your very own coffee for free, and we're open till 10.
Sister Moon, Apothecary and More is a collaboration of local island witches bringing you handcrafted tools for ritual, amazing apothecary, custom vinyl work, merchandise, and so much more. But we are not just an online store. We are a sisterhood, a platform, and a voice for everything that is magical. Join us for our famous Tarot Tuesdays from 11 to 4 Eastern Standard Time for a discounted reading with our amazing in-house intuitive reader and priestess, Wolf Spirit Energy, Beverly Oberlin. You can find us on Facebook at Sister Moon Store or on the web at sistermoon.shop. So fly on over and stop in for a spell.
All right, we are back and with William. Now, there's like you said, there's a couple of terms that we're going to be going over here that I have not heard before, and one of them is thaumaturgy.
yes,
Oh,
thaumaturgy.
mm-hmm.
Thaumaturgy is direct energetic uh, magic, dealing with all the spirit that's out there, dealing with it directly. A lot of magic is based on that. All your formulary magic is dealing with the energy that's there. You're just using tools and symbols and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not aware of how they're connected, but you're just working it that way. It's in other words, there's like some practices in Africa called Abaya and Wanga. That it's thaumaturgy. A lot of your basic witchcraft. If you're not involving gods or spirits, it's thaumaturgy. The other term is theurgy, which is working with gods and their overworld and underworld influences where you live. You're also bringing it to you, or contributing to it. But that's understanding that you're developing a relationship with it. So you're involving spirits, which generally is just a paranormal level of magic. But when you start dealing with gods, then you're dealing with theurgy, angels, demons, etc.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
that's all attached to woo. You know, your choice function of woo.
All right, got it. So, all right, that definitely explains it a lot more. Because, like I said, those are two terms that I had not heard before. So, uh, it's a chance for me to learn something as well. Now, let's get
That'd be
in.
explained better in the book.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's get into Guardian retrospections.
Yes.
All right, give us a breakdown on this one.
Okay. Well, before that is a retrospection exercise. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where you are basically projecting yourself in spirit, either mentally or spiritually, but eventually
Mm-hmm.
you'll be doing both, to visit, feel, and sense a place. And generally, it only has to be 5 meters, 50 feet from you, and eventually in time, 5 seconds. Okay. Guardian retrospectives is dealing with um, projecting yourself in multiple places and developing that type of awareness. Now, when you do that for elements, that's what people are doing. So, but it's a practice of projecting yourself there. So, you can create a circle like that if you can do that, because all you have to do is put a state of mind to attract the element of your choice in each of the four uh, 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 compass points. My personal practice is 10. I do 8 compass points and zenith and nadir.
Okay,
The,
very cool. Now, we all know about uh, the basics of rituals for magic and everything that's encompassed within that. Now, the other one that I wanted to touch on here, the witch's pyramid.
yes,
So let's see. So that's got to go to the three gunas or qualities, artifacts, or reality, which is part of the immortal process. So um, here again, I gotta admit, it's the first time I've heard the term witch's pyramid used. Um, so give us the explanation on that.
uh, which is pyramid is familiar in Wicca, and other occult practices, to know, to will, and to dare. Okay,
Hmm.
um, usually are to know, to will, and to be silent. Okay, but I look at it as four sides to a base of a pyramid. To know, you have to know, have an idea of what you're doing. You
Hmm.
have to will. You have to generate a focus, a belief, and the energetic concept to do it.
Right.
You have to dare. In other words, people are comfortable with reality as it is, and you have to be comfortable with the idea that you are going to affect a change.
Okay.
Thirdly, silence, simply because the weaving of spirit and our observation, you, I, and everybody around us holds the world in place by our simple observation. Okay. And if you're
Okay.
doing a ritual or a magical effect,
Mm-hmm.
you do not need people's disbeliefs, their need to hold reality as it is, to impart into your environment, you're working, that it won't work because they want everything as it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. The silence is to I'll give yourself spiritual space unencumbered by other people's will, other people's desires, other people's knowledge of what they believe is. So you keep that all out so that your work is unencumbered by it. So that's why silence is kind of key and critical when you don't want other people mucking up your work. You
Right.
know, it's like keep all the cooks out of the kitchen. You know, I'm the chief cook here. I'm doing the cooking. Get the other cooks out of the kitchen. So um, silence has some other aspects to it as well, but um, you realize that sometimes your own mind you have to silence.
Right.
It's also to cut out doubt. That goes with will.
Okay. So I asked this question of a lot of people. Now, for what would be your best information to give a beginning practitioner?
Okay. Um, you have to will. Um, my my most bottom line is truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because most people ignore all the anomalies, all the interesting stuff in their life because they just want to have this narrow focus that they can manage.
Mm-hmm.
When you're starting magic, you have to start asking all the questions. You have to learn how to create constant questions, create this ever unceasing need to know. Okay. And truth has to be something part of you. I put
Mm-hmm.
in my book this very simple formula: uh, mind, body, and motion in balance creates spirit. Life, love, and truth in harmony creates integrity. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
harmony and equilibrium and balance is as an active process. These two simple sentences are not simple at all. You have to look at them as cones, as things that you have to. I'm getting excited. Oh my god! Um, get get into it's an ongoing process, and
Mm-hmm.
spirit and integrity builds soul. You're built. Swami Ravi Ravan. The only thing you keep with your soul is your desires, your attachments, and your disciplines. You're creating a pattern, and it's your relationship, honest relationship to everything, and what's immortal, and that reflects on you.
Mm-hmm.
So integrity requires discipline. Truth, 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 truth. And if the dogs are here, I'm knocking on the table. Reality. Okay. First and foremost, all this magic doesn't mean anything if I can't hold down a job, if I
Right.
don't take care of me, take care of my children and everything else. Magic helps me with that. Okay. but I can't have a fantasy of making things what they're not. Okay, you can nudge things. I have.
Mhm.
I'm going to be posting a video on my YouTube channel about limitations of magic. It kind of encompasses what you can and cannot do with the flavors of magic that you do, and it's like, why aren't we all billionaires? Why aren't we all
Mhm.
winning the lottery tickets?
Right.
Um, because it's the weave of the world, and our influence, and our influence is this. Okay, and what we can control is like this, but we can nudge it.
Right.
So it's a constant way of thinking and being. But as far as a newbie, um, the idea of getting all your instant gratifications, uh, it's grow up, and that doesn't happen. Magic takes work.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
does.
and all the fundamentals that people don't do, they wonder why their magic is kind of, well, it depends on what they're relating with, but what do you know? What do you have an honest relationship? Um, are you doing the work? And it's it magic is work. That's but truth and integrity is like number one. I mean, one thing I know about gods, even demons, they can't lie. Okay, because
Hmm.
their mortality depends on truths, but they're experts, including gods, at prevarication. They let you form your false narratives, and they feed off of that chaos in between truth and the reality that isn't that you're trying to project. Okay,
Hmm.
it's a big game, and just love truth to no end, and when you do, you're going to see the world as it is. And that's where your magic takes off, because then you can have an honest relationship with everything to work it. It's when you deal with things that aren't real and projections that don't fit, and you're interjecting chaos of things that are not compatible. Things either don't have or happen, or you get uh, unintended consequences. Uh,
Hmm.
and
Right.
and and you have to study those. Every
Yeah.
mess up is an opportunity to learn, just like life.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's like what the old adage is: if you're going to work with magic and you want to be a magical practitioner, do the work, do the studying,
Do the practices.
yeah, do the practices. Because if you don't, you don't have a clear basis and you don't have a clear understanding of, and you're basically it's not going to do anything except create issues.
Exactly.
All right, now I've been posting up your links for everybody. Like I said, I've got the Elder Arkenstone Facebook page up, and also your main page on Facebook. Well, excuse me, your main website, the arkenstone.com, where you can find a lot of great information. You'll be able to should be able to pick up his book. In fact, I know that. Let's see, who's got your book right now, where people can find it.
Amazon has it. If you want to range of payment with me, I'll autograph it and send you a copy. Uh, but Amazon has it. Just have to search for Hegeman Magic, the Praxis, and it'll pop up.
Very cool.
I'm
And
self-publishing, so it's you know the format didn't fit, or the content wasn't interested by different publishers. So um,
Well, that's surprising because there's two of them that I know that would most likely pick up on it, and one is Moon Books.
I'm looking at them, and there's a what is it, Moon Books. They said they won't publish something that you've already self-published.
Oh
Um,
shoot!
uh, I, I I I don't know if it's them, but yeah, I saw that, and I'm disappointed. And then there's others. It's like trying to find a good fit. I would have pushed Llewellyn, but I looked at their submission guidelines, and I'd have to tear the book up. I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it fit because it's not discrete chapters. There's 4 sections, and each of the sections have um, they're graded down in levels of depth, and and,
Hmm.
and then the the snippets of things that I wanted to add have to be at the front of a chapter. I'm like, uh, it doesn't flow that way. So it's like, um, anywho,
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
I'll talk
Hmm.
to an acquiring editor at some point and see what they may have to say about it. So, but
Well, like I said, with this book here, you've taken all the basics, you've broken them down so that everybody can understand and be able to have good knowledge. And like I said, I would recommend this book for both the beginner practitioners and also seasoned magical practitioners as well. This is a good book to add to any library.
thank you.
You are very welcome for that. And let's see now. Tell everybody how they can go about getting in touch with you.
Arkenstone at arkenstone.com. That's my vanity email address. Not that I want to be all vain or anything, but it seems like that's the going way of things to have to market yourself in a particular way. Of course, I'm finding that my name Archon Stone is flies in the face of a lot of New Age uh, uh, antithesis against the concept of archons, which I didn't see coming out until from the '90s, which is a misuse of the word from like the Nagamati. It's like turned it upside down, and it's like I don't know. That's that's the name I'm using. I got meanings behind it.
Excellent.
Um, whatever. Uh,
Well, I definitely have enjoyed getting to sit down and spend some time with you, get to know you, and get to know your book a lot more. And I'll definitely. Now, do you have anything else in the works right now?
Um, I have been dealing with family medical issues here and gardening because of COVID, because
Hmm.
I don't like people coughing on vegetables and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Partly 'cause I'm kind of like um, trying to work through my uh, you know self imposter type of issues because I'd like to see the book sell well, and it's like if I write anything beyond this, it's kind of hard to explain things without people being interested in the basics of developing a common language.
Hmm.
There is a book I want to write, a defense against the dark arts, but the sum of it is on my YouTube video, defense against the dark arts class that I taught at Mystic South. An autobiography, so far so weird. Um, I do not feel like I'm qualified to write a compendium on all the mystical systems that are out there. There's people who are far better at that and more academic than I am. Um, but I could make short books about that and approaches and attitudes that I personally have about them. um, that might be, okay, what about the woo? All right. And then lastly, which is something I have to work spiritually, is a new woo to you, which is my own ceremonial magical system
Mm-hmm.
that works on sounds and using this symbol as a mnemonic for it. It's also a symbol for people embracing change, a tribal concept, um, because I need to write about community.
Mm-hmm.
Religion, when it fails to serve community, isn't a religion anymore.
All right.
And the biggest thing that I try to explain to people is we don't have tribes. We've exterminated them since Roman times, and that's what we've done nonstop. We've, and anytime we find a tribe, we try to colonize it and crush them. And um, good working tribes um, identify how you can have multiple spiritual, mystical practices, multiple guilds, and family clans working together. Um, uh, that's something that needs to happen. My teacher has some Native American uh, um, attitudes, and but he hasn't taught me anything that is indigenous. There's no misappropriation here. So,
Okay.
but the idea of a tribe, other tribes, they find that they have to break off and create a new tribe. You have to
Right.
have people that understand it instead of people being so totally afraid of leaders. And the thing is, how do you recognize a leader? What's a leader? I would write this book and also go into a lot of the psychology of what it is to be pagan and living in the mainstream and how that reflects in both and um, the psychology of magic. But I think it's too early for that. I think I'd offend way too many people. So
Well, in a way, you can remind me of Oberon Zell, is he has almost the same approach.
yeah, that I'll take that as a compliment. Uh, it it's you have to approach magic from your own point of view. It's like if you're going to be subsumed into a godhead or a religion, mystical or occult traditions provide that. Okay,
Hmm.
um, if you want to experience things on your own, it's the middle pillar, the mystic path. But you have to develop all these skills to be aware of what they are instead of appropriating the symbols and all the attached meanings and cram it into who you are. And what you're doing is you're programming yourself into an egregor, a magical spiritual presence. You know,
Hmm.
if I go into my personal uh, beginning, um, I did a 40 plus days fast asking God for the wisdom of Solomon, and I got a manifestation. It was there. Okay.
Nice.
Um, but it said, I will release you in 32 years. And as a Christian, that was terrifying. And at the same time, it says, I'll teach you what sin means. And then I realized that Yahweh said he'll never do it again, but El is a different God. And studying all
Mhm.
this. So I'm wary. I'm so wary of other entities and beings because they all have agendas and they don't want to tell me the truth, but they'll be glad to prevaricate.
Oh yeah.
So, so it's the critical thinking, developing self control. Um, and as Aleister Crowley, I don't want you to be a slavish dog to my methodologies. Slash your way through the forest on your own. So, and that's what I'm doing.
Cool. All right. Well, like I said, well, thank you for taking time out to join me this afternoon. This has been a fun discussion. Also, want to say thank you to Kat for tuning in, and also Kristen Womack for tuning in as well. Appreciate the both of you. And we will be seeing you again later on down the road. We've got a lot more coming here at IAPN Radio. So stay tuned for further developments and uh, a lot more to come right here. And let's see. Yeah, Kristen says thank you for having me as well. Appreciate that. And yeah, stay tuned for more developments on our business page at Iowa Pagan News, which is IAPN Radio. You can find us all over Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you have questions for me later on, email me at earl@iapnradio.net. Otherwise, at Iowa Pagan News at Gmail. Have a great day, everyone. Pleasant journeys, and we're going to be out of here for the day.